Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Yes. Amanda's everywhere. Yes, we're fabulous. All right, so we're talking about intuition today. And wow, that is a big subject when you think about intuition. And intuition can mean so many different things for someone. Following your gut. It could also mean trusting the path, that you start to walk down. And it can also mean, trusting yourself. So we wanted to talk about intuition because I think it's so important, as every other topic we've talked about, as you walk down the path of self-authenticity, your career, and everyday life and the mundane things, but yet the things that come up and kind of throw a wrench in, our train of movement. And I think it's so important because most people, or let me not assume, some people may think that their intuition, it's their intuition, that gut feeling, that tightness in the chest, or it can be, they confuse it for fear. Fear of doing something because it's unknown, it's unfamiliar, it's, scary because I haven't done this type of thing or made this choice before in my life. And so tell me, when you think about intuition, Nellie, what is the first thought that comes to mind?
When I think of intuition, it's that thing that you know, and somehow you're like, but how, where is this coming from? I always love it because I notice when I follow that feeling, it like gets me out of the way, because a lot of times, I try to be very logical about things. Like, I have to work this many hours, make this much money, this is how this is going to happen. But then if you just let your intuition take over, it gives you ideas that seem crazy maybe at the time, but then they put you more on the path that aligns with you. So that's how I feel about intuition.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. The idea of aligning. So for me, intuition is really following my truth and my authenticity and trusting myself, because like you said, going down a path that's, unfamiliar, it may feel scary, but you're going to discover things that may open your eyes in a different way. And, unfortunately, I've been in situations where I've allowed my fear to overcome or take over my intuition. Or I had that FOMO mentality of like, oh, I don't want to miss out, but something's telling me not to go. Or, don't hang out with that person, there's not a good vibe, and you can tell every human being has the gift of the intuition of realizing if a person is bad for you or there's something a little off, whether the choice is in alignment with your values, what's important to you, what your goals are, if you should be in that environment or situation. We tend to overlook them because we're told to. It doesn't make sense to some people. Some people don't believe in intuition at all. They think it's just bogus. It's just like, oh, it's nothing. But your body and your mind, and if you think about the soul and the spirit, is so aligned and so connected that if you are in harm's way, it will tell you, right? You'll get that gut feeling. So you just have to allow yourself a moment to decipher the messages that are coming from your gut or from your intuition. So whatever that may be, a life choice, like, Nellie's in the career mindset, I'm in the self-authenticity process. And, what is it? I always ask, like, who are you? That's a big thing. Like, who are you? And if you don't have a grasp of who you are, it can be very difficult to decipher, the code of, is it my intuition? Is it my fear? Or is this important for me? And tell me an experience that you felt that your intuition served you in a positive way versus a situation that you may have ignored it.
I think my favorite example that happened recently. And it was because I did this manifestation course, and all the entire course was really about healing yourself and excavating and aligning more with who you truly are, which is what you were just saying. And so I was doing a lot of that work, and then I had a friend call me to help her with an audition, and I had never got an audition for that show, and I was like, I could see myself on that show. So I go and I help her with the audition, and I was like, well, I had so much fun helping her. This is fun. I was like, I got to tell my manager to get me an audition for that show. I can see myself in that world because I don't have any actors or watching or anybody that doesn't know anything about acting. We all kind of try to figure out what worlds we fit into based on our vibe and appearance or anything like that. And I just had the intuition after, and it was for a different role. I didn't audition for the same role, but I had this intuition like, okay, well, text your manager to get you an audition for that show. And at first I was like, who do you think you are, Miss Bold Bossy thing, you know? And then she did. She got me one the next morning, and then I filmed it by that evening, and then a week later I booked it. And that was all intuition, because I was doing things that my fear would have kept me from. Like, you're not good enough. You can't ask for what you want or need. How dare you think, you know, that you think you could even book anything. Like, these were the thoughts in my head, but my intuition was like, do this, this, and this, and actions that weren't familiar to me.
Yeah. I love that. Well, you know, that's a big win. And you know, that was congratulations on trusting that voice. You know, a part of the whole healing process too, that, you know, you and I have been going down for the past how many years, right? And really finding ourselves as actors, as creators, as human beings in general, as friends, as partners, you know, daughters, all these things. If you don't know what your voice is, you'll allow other people's voice to be yours. Mm-hmm. And so you'll be turned away. You'll think it's your intuition, and it's actually somebody else's opinion becoming your reality. Mm-hmm. It's somebody else's opinion controlling your mindset, rather than trusting your intuition and really reviewing and taking inventory of, okay, is this good for me? Does this feel good with my body, my mind, my soul? Is this aligned with, again, my values, what's important to me? Is this going to serve me in a positive way? Or how can I also serve other people? Like, there's so many things to think about in that sense of intuition. But, you know, when you trust that and you're also having fun with it, there's so much beauty that can come from trusting your intuition. So congratulations on doing that, because not a lot of people, you know, have the energy to do such things, because they're going, you know, as actors and creatives and anyone who's just pursuing something as a human being, we tend to get imposter syndromes. We tend to get, you know, caught up in the fear. We tend to get caught up in other people's, again, opinions, what you should, could, or will do, or all these things. And then we tend to put less value on our intuition and our life's purpose. And that's why I really wanted to talk about intuition, because it's so important with who you are and what your life's purpose is. And we can give it power by following it. So, and, you know, again, there's the good side and the bad side. There's the bad side where it's like, it's telling you not to go down that dark alley at like 2 o'clock in the morning. You're like, ooh, a tumbleweed passes by, a rat maybe crosses, you know, because we're in New York City, so anything's possible. You know, anything is possible in a late night at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're like, but that's a shorter way there. But sometimes a shorter way there is not the safest, you know, whereas, you know, you have your intuition is telling you, like, it feels uncomfortable to, I don't know, I'll tell you right now, acting is freaking scary. You know, till this day, I still get, you know, scared of acting, but I have such a joy with that scared, you know, that fear, right? But it's so scary, but yet I trust my intuition that this is my passion, this is my love, so I pursue it and I keep going. And behind that door of fear and, you know, all of the anxiety and, you know, all the doubts, there's so much joy and impact that comes from following your intuition. What was there like a pinnacle moment in your life where you started paying attention to your intuition?
I would say, I guess the biggest point in my life that I really remember following my intuition was when I was deciding whether to stay in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. After moving back, thinking I was going to get married, it didn't work out. And I was like, okay, well, I'll finish my education here and I'll just teach in Pittsburgh. And then it literally gives me children as I'm saying that. And then something in my gut was like, no, go back to New York City. But it was so weird, right? And that's how intuition is, right? Because literally I just told you my train of thought. I wasn't talking about New York City. Was ready to move on. I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. And then something in my gut, like it felt like I was going to throw up. It felt crazy. Like it was such a severe, like, no. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to move back to New York City. And then I was like, how am I going to do that? And then this random girl befriended me through my other friend. She came super close with me. She helped me find a nanny job in Cleveland that paid a ton of money to help me save up for New York City again and also get out of Pittsburgh because it was kind of a bad place for me to be after what I had been through. And so, but she was so random. And then it's wild because then after I moved to New York City, she and I weren't even really friends anymore. Like, so that's what's so amazing about intuition. And, you know, it's all good, but it's just like you feel it and then you say yes. And then you're like, I don't know. And then it's like just stuff happens. Mm-hmm. And something I was going to say as you were speaking earlier is it's really important to pay attention to your intuition because you want to work smarter, not harder. So the example I gave with the acting thing, I was like, okay, I know I look like a wasp. I'm from backwoods Pennsylvania, but I see what I look like. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply for that show. But it's just like, I just like went with it. And so, yeah, it was moving back to New York City, I think was the first time that I really like can remember. Prior to that, there were probably examples, but that was like, whoa, this is so weird. And it could have been wrong. I don't know why I listened, you know? I don't know. It's like such an intense feeling that I personally can't ignore. It's the same thing, like I'm leaving fashion now. I kept being like, no, I'm fine. I don't mind that my entire life surrounds this and I can't do anything that I want. That's okay. I don't care. And my intuition is like, Janelle, you have to make a change. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? And then, you know, life coaching came up. Through me talking to a friend about working for her company as potentially a psychologist, nutritionist, this company called Noom. You know Jade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I just had that small idea, that small intuition telling me like, Janelle, you're not happy anymore with what you're doing. You were happy, you're not. You need to make a change. And then you're like, what do I do? And it made me think to call her. And then she talked to me about nutrition. And I started talking to other nutritionists thinking I was going to get into that. And everyone's like, no, you're a life coach. And I was like, okay. And here we are. So
here we are.
Those are my examples of intuition and how I let them guide my life.
Well, I'm glad they did because they brought you here. They brought both of us here. I love the idea of intuition. And you know what's so interesting? I didn't even clarify, like, for intuition, to me, intuition is literally your compass. I find it is literally your compass, your foundation, your groundwork of whether you know, whatever divinity you believe in, no matter what you believe in, it is literally your compass towards that and aligning with that. Because once you follow that intuition, all these doors open, right? Because what's going to happen is you're meeting the energy halfway. You're meeting whatever divinity that you believe in. They're going to meet you there. They're only going to meet you as far as you're willing to go. They're only going to meet you as far as you're willing to go. And here's when you trust your intuition to push you beyond what you think you are capable of. And, realizing that you're capable of way more than what you think you are. you deserve way more than what you think you do.
Yeah.
Right? You're worthy of way more than you think you do. And that was really difficult for me because I had to discover what my intuition was, and which is why, you know, being that authenticity coach is so important to me, because I've gone down that journey. I've gone down that journey of figuring out what the heck my intuition sounds like, what it feels like for you, that gut-wrenching like fear, you know, the panics, that is your version of intuition. For me, it's the gut feeling, it's, you know, a tightness in the chest, heavy breathing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to take a nap sometimes, and I'm an advocate for taking naps.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I am such an
I'm always
advocate
tired.
I love kitty naps.
I took
Give
a
me
nap
naps all
yesterday.
day.
Yes.
I love naps. You know, I learned myself, and your intuition is going to help you learn yourself and decide what's good for you and what's not, because your mindset is, you know, healthy. There it is. Your mindset is healthy. When your mindset is healthy, you can trust your intuition, and your intuition is not going to ever steer you wrong. Let me tell you that again. Your intuition is never going to steer you wrong. It never will. Even if something doesn't work out the way you expected, there is some light or gift or lesson within that situation or choice you did or you made that your intuition told you to go to or say yes to or no to. You know, hey babies, hello everyone for joining today. We're just talking about intuition, for those who are just joining, and you know, intuition is, as always, everything that we do from values is important towards your growth, towards your journey, towards your life's purpose here, in my opinion. Otherwise, if you're not following a compass, where are you going? You become aimless.
Yeah, you become aimless, and I think the other thing is a lot of people are afraid to follow their intuition because, as we were saying earlier, is it intuition or fear? And you really do have to test it out. So there's very intense moments. I feel everybody's had them. You know, you talk about going somewhere you shouldn't. You know, it's like that animal instinct. We felt that. Or there's the intense thing, literally, like if I stayed in Pittsburgh, I would not have what I have now. Like I would not have aligned with my path. But then other times it's kind of confusing, and I've had to learn. For example, I wanted to film an audition yesterday, but I was really tired and not in the mood. Now, is that procrastination fear or is that intuition? For me, I know it's intuition because I know if I'm too exhausted, I don't bring my best self to the audition. So I've learned from practicing and from trying out, oh, is that my intuition or fear? Well, it was my intuition because I noticed that my auditions were better when I listened to that. So I have this, you know, there's more fear, scarcity mindset, anxiety about not doing things and not stopping. Oh my God, if I stop, then I'm not going to get what's meant for me. And then you see all that in my eyes and my body when I'm auditioning, and that's not cute. So my intuition told me, you need to rest. It's okay, you have time. And so I will do it today. Now, I always believe get in your auditions as soon as you can, but you also have to, what's yours is yours, you know? So if you're meant to take a nap instead of film right away, follow that. And yeah, so I think what you're saying, the more you find who you truly are and you do that digging and become as authentic as possible, you will, it's kind of like a dance, right? Like your intuition teaches you who you really are too. And then the more you know who you really are, the easier it is to identify intuition over fear. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I love the analogy of like the dance, because it is a dance. It's a movement that you have to work through, you know, because like you said, you have to try, you know, you don't know if it's fear or if it's, you know, your intuition. And most of the time it's whatever's holding us back is our fear, right? But if your intuition, if you're like dreaming about it, this is another thing that the intuition won't let up, because it'll start becoming obsessive thoughts. It'll start harassing you in every which way possible. And you'll be like, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to do it, fine. But you'll start hearing the conversations around you if you're open and paying attention, or like somewhat in tune, right? You'll start seeing random book titles. You're like, what? No, how to become an actor? What? How? Where did this come from? I don't even know. Like random things, or a person talking about the subject that you want to be in, or you know, a TV show that you'll start resonating with certain lines and certain people. You're like, oh, I never heard that before. And this is shows that maybe you've watched before or repeated the episode, and you discover something. You're like, I never heard them say this before. Oh, okay. You'll start getting slapped in the face literally by your intuition if you're ignoring it. And the thing is, your intuition is never going to go away. It's just eventually going to get quiet. If you keep ignoring it long enough. It'll eventually get quiet. So, you know, it's going to get loud. It's going to be in your face. You're going to start getting the gut feelings. You're going to, you know, start dreaming about it. Start thinking about it every day. Envisioning it with everything you do. You know, I hate being here. I should be doing something else. I'm not happy. You know, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it all around you until you say yes. And it's going to be so uncomfortable. Like Nell said, it's so scary to trust your intuition because you don't know what's beyond it. But here's the thing. You're not going to get beyond the point that you are right now if you don't trust your intuition. If you don't make the choices and make the effort and commitment to go beyond where you are now, because clearly the choices you've made only brought you up to this moment. The choices you've made have only brought you up to this moment. If you want to get beyond that, you got to either make some different choices or make some bigger ones. And that's a reality check because I think about that all the time. Like I know I could have been beyond where I wanted to be, you know, but yet had I thought about that, I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I have along the way to be here at this moment with all of you and with Nell. You know, so I try not to live in that mindset of the coulda, shoulda, woulda. I wish I did this. I didn't do that, because you did. And you can't go back. Right. But now you know, and you can say, well, my intuition told me I should have been doing this 5, 7, 6 years ago. Hello, yeah, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was telling me then. And I completely ignored it. And now it's 6, 7 years later, and it came back up. And it's like, do I ignore it again and live what I did already, repeat it like a Twilight Zone episode, or do I just go for it and see and experience something different and, you know, find the joy in your life and find your life's purpose, and, you know, which is why it's so important to get a mentor, you know, get a life coach. Life coaches have life coaches, therapists have therapists, you know, everybody has somebody, trust me. And we're never claiming that we know it all, because we're not perfect. And I will never tell you in any which way that I am perfect. I'm just perfectly me. But, you know, it's very important to find a guide to figure out what your intuition is and who you are and your career set, you know, your career mindset. And it's so important, like, to have people like Nell, because a lot of people have passions, right? Now, as a career mindset coach, what is, I guess, an advice for someone who, I don't know, is caught up in the mundane of life and they're not trusting their intuition?
I would say I understand, because it is a very scary thing to trust your intuition, but it's not lying to you. Another example, I was teaching, and I'm a very good teacher, and I love teaching. I mean, I taught elementary, I taught special education, and all sorts of things prior to working in fashion and entertainment. And I tried getting into acting when I was younger, and it didn't work out. And I was like, okay, I'll just be teaching. Came back to New York City, I was like, I'll just teach here. And, like, it was funny. I was laughing as you were saying, oh, like, this random book and all this stuff. Like, my students were bringing in, like, magazine sheets, and they were like, Miss K, is this you? You know, and then other people were, like, stopping me, like, are you an actor? At coffee shops, whatever. And really funny, because people won't say that to me now, and I'm actually working consistently. But it was like, I couldn't ignore it. And so if you're doing a job that you feel that's mundane, and I think what I say, any job that's mundane to you, any job that you do not want to do, that does not light you up, that does not align with what you know you're meant to be doing, that is a mundane or survival job, you know. So people get weird and get caught up in, well, if somebody wants to work at a restaurant, yes, if that's what they love, cool. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying to you, I was teaching. I'm a really amazing teacher and I loved it, but I knew it was wrong for me to stay there because some part of me wanted acting more. That's not fair to those kids, and that's not fair to myself. And was it scary? Yeah, I had a job, and a good job that I was good at, and I left it until I go to the abyss, but it paid off. And so that's my advice to you, is really pay attention, because I just knew I didn't want to get older one day and look back and be like, what if? I can never handle that. The what if, it drives me crazy. And even now, you know, most days if I'm in a rut, we talked about being in a rut, I'm like, well, Janelle, what if? You know? And you know when you're being stubborn, or if you actually, you know, are meant to do something. And so there's some things where it used to be a what if, and I'm like, oh, I can't stop. And now I'm like, no, I can stop. I'm good. I can quit that job, that person, that whatever. But so that's what I say to people. If you're in a job that feels mundane to you, if you're in a job that feels like you're just surviving, that's not the job you're supposed to be in. You need to take the time and be honest with yourself. I would say cover it up. Don't listen to your parents, society, whatever. Take the time. You know, we got a great authenticity coach right here, Amanda. You can hook up with her and just like really be honest with yourself. What would light you up? And then it takes a lot of courage, but I will tell you, I do not regret it at all. You know, so I was feeling so sick, staying in a job that I didn't necessarily hate, but I knew just didn't align. And I don't want that for other people.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I love that so much. You know, I love that you said that you're not doing anyone the service by denying your life's purpose, or not going beyond or going towards your intuition. I love that, because you're disservicing yourself as well as the people that you're interacting with on an everyday basis in the survival job that you want. And there's nothing wrong with having a survival job while you pursue your career path or your, you know, where you want to go. There is nothing wrong with that, because that's only going to help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah, I
right?
had that for 4 years.
But it's not forever.
Yeah, I had it for 4 years while I was building up nannying and assisting, being an assistant. There's nothing wrong with that, but just make sure that you're putting more energy and attention into what you truly want, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I can definitely relate to that, because, again, I was in that survival job for so long because of societal, you know, guidelines. Like, you know, you get out of school, you get your 9-to-5 job, and that's what you do. Then you retire after a certain time. I was definitely really heavy in that mindset, because that's what was like thrown at me. You know, get the college degree, go get the job that you want. And like Nell said, I can totally relate when you were saying like it was being thrown at you, or people were saying, oh, wow, are you an actor? Or, you know, so-and-so. I would get that all the time. And I'm like, oh, no, you know, no, not at all. And when I was younger, I did a performance, like an after school program, but I couldn't do all of it because my dad had pulled me out after practice one day, or my parents, because they just wanted to go home. And I was so hurt, and I couldn't perform the way that I wanted to. And I only got to do one song out of the show. But let me tell you, I did Annie, It's a Hard Knock Life. And I remember, you know, doing the floors, and it's a hard knock life for us, right? And I was performing, and I was so excited on that stage, and I never had felt that much excitement. And then I had to go backstage because they were performing the next song, and I wasn't there. And it hurt my heart. And I was in the back, like dancing with them, because it was like 2 or 3 moves that I didn't learn, so I couldn't perform with them. And it hurt my heart. And then after that, I really didn't pursue any form of performance after that. And it wasn't until I finished high school and I started modeling randomly. And as I was modeling, I was introduced to the idea of doing background work as an actor. And I was like, oh, they do that? What is that? Right? I'm not one of those people that say that I was an actor. I knew I was going to be an actor at like 2 years old. No, I'm not that story. And I'll be honest, I am not that person. And then I started doing background work, and I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this. Like, you know, and And then I was like, oh yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. I'm going to finish my degree because I want to do that for my family, for them, and to start a ripple effect so others can do the same, or at least pursue something. It was a promise that I made myself, and it was a great achievement. And I learned so much because I got my degree in forensic psychology. And after that, I got my 9 to 5 job, and I started pursuing acting on the side. And I haven't looked back. And the day that I left my job, my 9 to 5 job, was the most fearful thing ever. To walk into my boss's office and go, yeah, I'm going to leave. I'm done. It was the most fearful thing I've ever done in my life. But like you said, it was the most courageous thing I could ever do for myself, because I decided to choose me and my happiness, and I trust my intuition. And let me tell you something, I would never go back. I would never go back and change that choice. So I know it can sound extremely scary to trust your intuition, but it's only going to be rewarding in the end, or at least along the way, because at the end, to me, there is no end, right? I don't think so. But it's going to be so rewarding and so uplifting, and the lives that you will impact, not only yourself, is going to be such a gift. So don't deny your intuition because you're afraid that you might fail. Failure is going to happen regardless. You know, the most successful person is going to fail. They failed, but they learned from it and they keep going. So don't give up. Trust your intuition, because all it's doing is guiding you and helping you. Have faith in it. Maintain that hope that everything's always going to work out for you, and know that deep down, it will always, always work out for you. I don't know. Hearing that even to myself, I'm like, yes, it will always work out for me. Now, is there something that you tell yourself that like kicks you in the butt or brings you that joyful moment of like, yes, I'm going to do it? Because I know you said the modeling and leaving that and pursuing the acting, but is there that mantra or affirmation that really like ignites the fire in you and like keeps you going?
I think, and this is why it's important, and I tell creatives, whatever your art is, whether you're a photographer, a model, models are artists as well, actor, I think really always being in a class with other artists, but not just people that are trying to book the job and make the money, like artists,
Mm-hmm.
And my teacher said something the other day, somebody did a scene, and it was really moving. And then my favorite thing my teacher says is, when we're most personal, we're universal. And I'm, a very empathetic person, as is Amanda, and most artists are very empathetic because we have to channel other people, right?
Mm-hmm,
To be able
mm-hmm.
to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And I swear I leave that class always like tearing up. It'll make me like cry a little now, because sometimes it's like I want to give up, but then I'll be in that class and I'll be with those artists, and he'll say something like that, like, wow, like you're connecting people with your art and making people feel. He's like, that's magic.
Got me.
I know, and it's nothing about us being special. It's just I have this strong desire for people to feel heard and seen. I have my brother, maybe because he has autism, and I was like, wow, like there's a reason that I can channel. Acting's weird, it's so crazy to want to do that, but I just think that I don't have a desire to be a doctor. Like your intuition tells you, like, if you have a strong desire to do something, there's a reason for it. And I guess that's a long-winded answer to tell you that. I'm just like, I don't know, like I was created this way for a reason. And I remind myself, maybe I don't have a mantra, but I think of how I feel on stage, how I feel doing something, like you were saying when you were on set again, and how alive I feel doing something like that, and being a storyteller, and I can't imagine putting that down.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I can totally relate. And Nell is absolutely right. When you start trusting your intuition and pursuing the path that is meant for you, there's so much magic in it. There's so much magic in it. And we're not talking about like behind the wheel, with a cauldron. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the magic, the energy, the connection with people, the ability to relate and create. And I think, in my opinion, everybody, like said, we were created to create.
Yes.
Right? Think of it that way. We were created to create. So continue to create. And I believe that everybody has an artist in them. Whether you're a financial person, that's the artist with numbers. That's something I cannot do. Sit there and, do all the numbers. Absolutely not. But know that you're an artist in your own way. Okay, book writers, teachers are artists. Everybody is an artist in their own way. And just know that you matter. You are magic. And your intuition, again, is only going to steer you towards beautiful, amazing things that you are here to do. And know that you have time. They always try to say time is short. No, time is long. Time is long. So enjoy it while you're here. That is my last words for episode 9. I know we went over today, but I just love talking about intuition because there's just so much magic in it. When I've trusted my intuition, I've had the most fun. I've had the most fun in my life, trusting my intuition. And it's the memories that I would never forget. It's the memories that have shaped me to this particular moment in my life. And I look forward to continuing to trust my intuition. And don't be afraid. And if you are, take a deep breath, let it go, scream out, bang on a pillow or something, let it out which way, write it down, release it, and then go for it.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.